Good evening. It's October 18, 2022, and this is a meeting of the Shrewsbury Conservation Commission. Our first item is to review and approve minutes. Ken, do you want to make a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for September 20th, 2022.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Signed bills? None.
Nope.
Meetings and hearings. I'll go through. We have 3 hearings which are going to be continued. The first one is a continued public hearing regarding the notice of intent filed by Cypress Avenue Development Partners LLC for the construction of 66 townhouse-style senior housing units with accessory clubhouse, access driveway, stormwater management facilities, and associated site grading at 1 Greenbrier Drive and 255 Gulf Street. That hearing will be continued until our next meeting, which is November 15, 2022. The next continued hearing, it's a continued public hearing regarding the notice of intent filed by 658 Boston Turnpike LLC, 118 Turnpike Road, Suite 200, Southborough, Mass., to develop a site for a car dealership, including the alteration of wetlands and construction of 2 wetland replication areas at 658 Boston Turnpike. That hearing will be continued until our next meeting, which is November 15, 2022. And the last hearing, which the applicants asked us to continue, is a continued public hearing regarding the request for determination filed by Habib Amani for the construction of an addition to an existing building and associated site work at 9 Walcott Road. That hearing will also be continued until our next meeting, which is November 15, 2022. Okay, do we have the applicant for 4 Claremont Circle here tonight? Okay, we'll go to you next. Our next hearing is a continued public hearing. It's regarding the notice of intent filed by Preetha and Sanjeev Bhattabil for the construction of a patio at 4 Claremont Circle. Would you like to come up to the desk, please? Do you have a consultant tonight, or are you doing this on your own?
Well, I did talk to Andrea, their consultant, because I think I can speak to most of it. At
Okay.
this point, I didn't think she really had much to offer, and she also had another meeting anyway,
right.
so.
Yeah, but we can talk, it's
Yeah.
totally fine.
Okay, good.
So good evening all, nice to see you all again. So we are from 4 Claremont Circle. We built a deck a couple of months ago without filing the notice of intent. That was a mistake we did. Post that, we had come over here for a hearing, and then at that point it was suggested that we do an NOI after the fact, and we did do that. Andrea was working with us, and Andy was working with us closely as well. The deck was very much confined to our buffer zone. It did not cut through the wetlands. We submitted the NOI and paid all the fees as well. So last month when we had come over here, we were almost very close to getting it closed. Then there was an objection from the public stating that this was built on top of an encroached property. And town wanted to do the due diligence. We wanted to check if there was really an encroachment. So we did some work from our side as well. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, we would like to show if that's okay.
Sure.
So what we did,
I can.
Yeah.
So we didn't know this functionality even existed in Google Earth before this situation. So it's a pretty cool feature. So we can go back in time in Google Earth and check how your house was or how your landscape was
Might just have to
before certain years. So we could go back to 21 years, but it is a little clumsy as you go back 20 years, but it is pretty clear. We want to show some pictures as well. Okay.
do you see it? show it on.
I'll just leave the laptop in the interest of
Wait,
everyone.
wait.
Just flashed, yeah.
It
Oh, it just
flashed.
flashed?
Something happened.
There it
Oh,
goes.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
working,
Okay,
but it's pink.
I think that's still okay, yeah.
Okay, so we went back, we collected two pictures that was closer to clear. So we took a picture from April 2009, which is 13 years back from now, and we could clearly see, can you turn the TV?
We can see from there, I guess.
Is this,
We've got one.
we got one
Oh,
right
you can
here.
see it, right?
You want me to move
Okay.
it closer, or you can?
If you just make it a little bigger.
Um,
Yeah.
make it bigger.
There you go. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, if you see,
See, it was never a straight line.
it was never a straight line, it was
This is
always
picture
a
from
curve.
2009 on Google Earth. So it's in a wetland. It cannot be a straight line. So
Just show us your house. Which one's your house?
so this is our house, the number
Okay.
4 Claremont Circle.
Yep.
This is what the picture I think my neighbor showed, saying that this is the cornerstone. It has always been there, and this is like says that it's carved like this from the beginning. So it is 2009. We have a picture from
2000, so we went back further, if you could get a better picture. So 21 years back, that's all Google could show, but there was a curve, if you can see.
I'm not sure if it is clear enough, but
It was never a straight line
Yeah, we
from day
couldn't
one.
find any evidence of any encroachment from our previous or the owner prior to that. So we checked with Andy.
So
if you
Andy
want-
also helped us
want
to
add to
read
this,
us
like-
the history and see if there was any encroachment complaint or anything that was filed in
So
the past
only-
22 years.
So it was, so the last time when we came over, the evidences was produced. That was our neighbor. Mostly some pictures taken, but none of them shows that it was not there and there now. Means any encroachment has
There
happened.
was no
A
proof
picture of a
of-
cornerstone, which has always been there, some line marking. So I'm not sure how admissible those are as an evidence. Shows that, okay, there wasn't any evidence of encroachment. So at this point, like, we don't know what else we could do to make sure that we have been following every due diligence that is required. So we leave it up to town.
Okay, Andy, you.
So, what I actually did, I managed to dig up the original subdivision from, 1996, and I only got the one cable. So I did do a little bit of research, and there was an order of conditions issued for the original subdivision. And wait for it to warm up.
Okay, so that flickering, okay, takes time.
There you go.
Got it?
Yeah.
Voila.
Went in all the way.
So this is basically off the town GIS, but this wetline, I found the original Mylars, and it did show that this is the wetland line that was on the original subdivision. So they did do an order of conditions for the subdivision, but clearly they never came back and did orders for any of the houses, because you can see this is their house. In theory, that they would have filled wetlands to put it in, so, I would say the original developer, if anyone was in there, it would have been the original developer, didn't come in 1996 and get, NOIs for the individual parcels, but the wetland line kind of follows what's out there. The only diversion really is behind their house, but clearly, as you can see, it's in the house, and so to build the house on the lawn, he must have filled wetlands back then, so.
Was there any instruction about a rock wall back then?
No, there was really, there was not a lot. The order conditions was very, there was a lot of wetland filling to build a subdivision, so, the plan, the order conditions was very, talked about, wetland replication, but there wasn't for this. It was Amherst Road actually crossed a wetland at the end of it. I think one of the other this was part of the Marshall Estate subdivision. There was a couple of wetland fillings to put the roads in, but, so this was recorded in 2000, so at this point, I don't think there's been any further encroachment since the house, based on the aerials too. So, I mean, at this point, I would think if we're gonna go, you know, if we're gonna make them file after the fact, then we should really make, you know, number 2 and everyone else do it too, which seems a little, for 25, 30 years ago, seems a little excessive, but obviously,
Is the current wetland line, is that delineated with any rocks? Wasn't there a rock wall?
well, the wall, yeah, so number 8, they put in a rock wall, that's up here.
Yep,
And this actually does match very closely to what I think they delineated in the field, because if you recall, their swing set was right off the corner here, so they just clipped the corner of this wetland right here.
right.
Um,
So on this particular parcel, does it make sense to somehow permanently?
I think we should make sure there's no further encroachments.
Right.
Yeah, I think I mean, there's already a wall really at the edge of the clearing of the trees anyway, but that's the only thing we might want to do is put our typical, you know, boulder requirement or some kind of, to make sure there's no further encroachment.
Yeah. Do you guys have any preference as to what?
So you already have like stone walls, like from
Only partially, though.
no, the full.
Full area has
Full
the
area.
stone walls throughout
Yeah.
our border.
For the entire rear,
The interior, yes.
and that's, the wetland is on the opposite side?
Oh, right,
That's
right,
correct.
right. I think the
Oh.
filing that we did, that will show that it's full of stone walls
Yeah.
from the original construction.
I think Andy's saying the stone wall wasn't where that line is, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go out and verify if it's, you know, needs filling in, if we want to just make that a condition, but,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, at least we should definitely make sure there's no further encroachments, but.
right. Yeah, and at the wall, I mean, the stones are not just little things that can be,
Yeah, I mean, there's a subsidizing wall, but I'm happy to go over there and take a look, because I don't remember off the top of my head how far the
Okay.
wall goes.
so you're comfortable with us closing it tonight?
I think so, yeah, I think so. I mean, clearly it's, you know, if there was a
Okay,
violation, it was 30 odd years ago, so.
all right, let's go for questions first. Martha, do you have
I don't have any.
any? Jason?
None.
Ken?
All set.
Chris?
Nope.
Andy, you're all set?
No, I'm all set, thank you, yeah.
Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments on this hearing? Okay, I don't see any, so we'll close the hearing.
Okay,
Andy's gonna take a look at this before we draft the final order of conditions,
sure.
okay? And we're gonna try to delineate, make sure that it's a permanent delineation, so there's no further encroachment.
Sounds good.
Excellent, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you,
Yep.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay, do we have people from 420
Should have.
Boston Turnpike here tonight?
I was talking to him earlier, so.
I don't see anybody.
on being here.
What's that?
I did talk to them, they were planning on being here, because they were
Okay.
asking about the
Well,
ability.
why don't we just, we'll
We'll
skip
skip it?
over them and we'll go down to the next one? How about 553 Grafton Street? All right, it's a new public hearing, so Martha, do you want to read the legal notice?
Certainly. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Gianna Hoban of 205 Kirkland Drive, Stowe, has filed a notice of intent for the repair of a septic system at 553 Grafton Street. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, October 18, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raouf Mankarius with Alpha Omega Engineering, representing the homeowner. We're here for a septic system repair. There is an existing system that's in failure. The area we're doing the septic is actually, it's a grass area, but we have a river in the back, and we have also a couple areas of wetland. All the proposed work is outside the 100-foot buffer of the river. It's a little bit in the 200-foot riverfront, but it's in a grass area. And also outside the 50-foot buffer for the wetland, but it's in a small area of the 100-foot buffer of the wetland itself. We're not cutting any trees, we're keeping everything in existing grass area, and this is just a septic system repair for an existing house.
Martha?
The old septic is shown on here?
Yes, it's shown, and there is an arrow. It says approximate location of existing tank and leach field.
Okay. I'm just curious, what happens to the old septic system when you put the new one in?
It gets removed if any material that's from the old septic would be removed, replaced with Title V sand.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm all set.
Jason?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Ken?
I'm all set.
Chris?
No questions?
Andy?
Just a couple of minor comments. We didn't get any of the DEP data forms, I don't know, for the wetland delineation. Did you have, I mean, it looks like they were flagged, but I didn't have the
Yes.
data forms.
Yeah, I can give you those.
If you can just get, yeah, for those. And then,
Yeah, and we have a DEB file number.
and typically, we'd like to see a construction entrance on there, just because obviously there's gonna be a lot of dirt going in and out.
Sorry?
A construction entrance, because there's probably gonna be a lot of dirt going in and out. If we can just get a construction.
Well, it's actually, it's going downhill, so it's basically just going from the drive, from the side of the house, outside the buffer zone.
But it's usually the trucks going in and out that bring the mud on, so if we can just,
Sure.
or washing, making sure the street's cleaned every day.
Sure,
It's an
yeah.
ongoing issue with single-family homes, so,
That's, okay,
thank you.
thanks.
That's all I had.
Yeah, it looks like it's 4-inch pipe coming out of the house to the septic tank, so that's it's all gravity, it's
Oh,
not a
yeah,
pump
yeah.
system.
Yeah, it's sloped downhill, yeah. Everything is
Oh,
gravity.
okay.
No pumping.
No pumping involved in
Yes.
that? Okay, and are you the design engineer?
Yes.
How do you pronounce your first name again?
Raouf.
Raouf? Okay. Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments on this hearing? All right, I don't see any, so we'll close it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ready, John?
Okay, 27 Bayview here tonight? Anyone from 27, oh, you? No.
No.
Looks like we struck out again. 314 Prospect Street? Is anybody here? Andy?
Hmm?
No one is here to represent 27 Bayview.
Okay, so 27 Bayview actually has a current order of conditions. That was for an addition to a house that came to us in May.
Okay,
And I went back and checked the video, and we did ask them about the trees on the slope, and they said they weren't gonna take them down. So I don't really think it's appropriate to do an RDA. They should probably modify the NOI if they wanna now take all those trees down on the slope.
so you're saying right now there's,
There's an active order, they came in May for an order of
Yeah.
conditions
so
to
are
put the
you
addition
saying-
on.
Are you saying that they should amend the?
I think they should, yeah, if they wanna take all those trees down on the slope, because there's a fair number of
Amend the
trees.
NOI come in
Yeah, so-
rather than doing an RDA for this?
Yeah, so I would issue
Yeah, I
a
would-
positive and have them amend it.
agree.
Yep. Is everyone in favor that they amend it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's take that action, and I'll tell you what, do you want to formally open this and then make a decline?
Positive?
You know, we're gonna issue
I
a,
think we're gonna issue a positive
we
determination.
Yeah.
Positive.
yeah,
Yeah.
positive, exactly, and then push them to.
Yeah, if we wanna open it, and I can.
Yeah, let's do
let 'em
that.
know.
Go ahead, Martha.
Okay. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Hugo Lima of 118 Maple Street, West Boylston, Mass., has filed a request for determination for the removal of trees at 27 Bayview Drive. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, October 18, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury.
Okay, we've had some discussion on this one, and we believe that they should be addressing this through an amended order of conditions. So would someone like to make a motion to issue a positive determination of applicability?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we issue a positive determination at 27 Bayview Drive and ask them to come in and modify the existing notice, order of conditions.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Okay, 314 Prospect Street, Andy.
No,
Oh,
say this.
you're here.
Oh, you're there.
Martha, do you want to read the legal
Certainly.
notice?
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Mark Lambert of 25 Fairbanks Street, West Boylston, Mass., has filed a request for determination for the removal of trees at 314 Prospect Street. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 PM on Tuesday evening, October 18, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury.
Good evening.
How are you?
Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Mark Lambert, owner of Lambert's Land Care.
Okay. And you want to explain, Mark, what's, we got some plans in front, or photos in front of us.
Yep, so there's a couple dead trees, couple birch trees in the back of the property. When I initially went and looked at the property for the work, I mean, the whole house is overgrown by trees, but initially we cut down the work order, and once the work got approved by the homeowner, I then went in front of the town here on that. But there's two larger birch trees that are dead in the back of the property, probably dead by bronze birch or whatnot. And, they're a hazard to the house, swing set area. You can see they're right behind the swing set area. And there's also two other birch trees on the farther side of the property. But once looking at those birch trees, I did see the ferns and all the wetland vegetation down at the bottom of the hill. So I knew that I needed to get in front of the conservation on this.
Mark, what photos are you referring to? You're saying birch trees, or?
Yeah, they're right behind that.
The photo two, these don't look like birch trees, these look like oaks.
No, they're birch trees. They're black birches.
Martha?
I would agree with John. The bark is plated, more than I would expect birches to be.
Yeah.
But they're dead.
Yeah, they're dead.
Yeah. Okay, so we're looking at the right trees at least,
Yep.
with the arrows pointing to them.
Yep.
So overall, how many overall, Mark, are you doing here? Are you asking?
There's two birch trees that are in that picture, and then there's two over the shed that I gotta get removed because they're completely hung over the shed. I'm not sure if there's pictures on that.
Okay, that's a
outline.
separate photo with the
Yeah.
other two hanging over the shed. That's
Yeah.
photo 3?
Yep. And then the rest is just some trimming around.
All right. And where's the wetland resource compared to this work?
It's directly behind those,
Yeah.
I'll call them the two black birch trees down there in that valley.
Yeah, so there's,
It runs,
In number 2?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so there's a stream that kind of runs down Prospect and loops around the back, so, and then there's obviously a BVW that goes.
So when it heads over
So
to
what you're seeing is the
Northborough
beefy, yeah.
Reservoir to that?
Yeah, and it cuts underneath Prospect, so
Okay.
it's about 50 feet away to the stream, using the GIS, so.
All right, so are you gonna do this with a climb, or you're taking it down with a machine?
Either climb or machine, one of the two,
And the stump, are you gonna?
leaving the stump.
Leaving the stump?
Yeah, flush cutting it
Close to
like,
grade?
yeah, like 4 to 6 inches from grade.
Okay. All right. Martha?
Would it be possible to leave the stump higher, say about 8 feet?
I can ask the homeowner, I'm sure that's not a problem if that's what needs to be done.
That would be great. That actually provides habitat
Yeah,
for bugs and birds that eat them, so it's a nice practice to do where you can. And if there's not lawn, then why not leave the stump?
okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Almost set.
Okay.
I'm all set.
Ken?
How many trees? Is it 4?
4, yeah, and then the rest
Total?
is trimming, yeah.
Trimming, okay.
You all second?
Yep.
Chris?
No questions.
I'm all set.
Okay. How many do you want to leave to an 8-foot level? Do you?
Wherever you can. Now, I do recognize that at 8 feet, depending on how close they are to the fence, when those do finally fall, they could cause some damage. So do protect your structures.
Okay,
You can cut them down lower if you need to.
okay,
But where you can leave that 8 feet, and when they fall, they won't hurt anything.
okay. All right, yeah, because I think those are right up against the fence.
Yeah.
They're like within a foot or two from what I remember.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So it's okay to take those down lower.
very good.
Yeah.
All right, does anyone in the public have any questions or comments on this hearing? Okay, I don't see any. Let's this is an RDA, so we're gonna need no, it's a public hearing, actually, no,
It's an
RDA,
RDA, yep.
it's an RDA. So we need a motion to issue I would say
Negative.
a negative with some
With conditions, yep.
All right, does someone want to make a motion for a negative determination of applicability?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we issue a negative determination with conditions that the removal of 4 trees, as shown in the pictures, where possible, leave the trunk as high as 8 feet. And with also, there's going to be some trimming done too.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Do you know what that means, Mark, the negative?
Not very familiar.
It's good.
It's
It's
good.
actually good. It's, you don't have to go any further in terms of paperwork.
Okay.
You're just gonna get a permit from us, basically, with some conditions on it to go ahead and do the work.
Okay,
Okay, so,
so once I receive the permit, then I'm free
Yeah,
to
when are you
go.
looking to do it? Because you can pick it up from Town Hall if you want this week, or,
Probably within the next 2 weeks.
okay, then I'll just, do you want me to let you know when it's ready to pick up?
Yeah, if you can send me an email.
Otherwise you'll mail it.
I'll stop right by. if you
Okay,
send me
I'll
an
just email you when it's ready then.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
thank
Have a
you.
good night.
All right, let's go back to see if anybody's here for 420 Boston Turnpike. You guys, right? Yep, we are. Okay. Yeah, we actually opened it last week. There was a little confusion in the advertising of it. It was advertised as Hartford Turnpike and,
Okay.
but we're gonna go ahead and read the full legal ad as if it's a new hearing tonight. Nobody showed up from the public apparently last week. There were no comments made, so,
Brought the,
yep, green cards.
Thank you very much.
Martha, do you want to
Okay.
read the legal ad?
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Mag Re Holdings, 800 Turnpike LLC of 777 Washington Street, Newton, Massachusetts, has filed a notice of intent for the partial demolition of an existing building, construction of a new building, and associated site work at 420 Boston Worcester Turnpike. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 PM on Tuesday evening, September 20th, 2022, in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 100 Maple Avenue, Shrewsbury. It is now October 18th, 2022.
Great. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Conservation Commission, and concerned parties in the audience. My name is David Mackwell with Kelly Engineering. Kelly Engineering prepared the notice of intent and the plans for the commission this evening. Just as a preface before we get going, this is an introductory hearing to the project. What we'd like to do tonight is to update the commission the best we can on the status of the project and what we wish to accomplish, letting us know that we don't think we have a DEP number yet from the website. The one on the agenda, I think, is a typo or maybe from another project. But I sent some slides in just to show what the project is. The property's located at 420 Boston Turnpike. Access is from Route 9 eastbound or from Oak Street. Property is about 13.5 acres in size. Currently houses 2 significant buildings. One's larger building's about 218,000 square feet, smaller building's about 14,000 square feet. Currently, there's about 4.75 acres of pavement and approximately 250 lined parking spaces. McGovern Automotive Group has purchased the property, actually probably around a year ago, and we started working on the project. And we can flip to the next slide. Started working on the project to raise about half of the large building and the entirety of the smaller building and place McGovern Collision Center in the remaining portion of the building. At the time we started working on it last winter, you'll see 2 buildings on the plan. The lower one would be the McGovern Automotive Collision Center that has been there for a while. And then our first plan had left a retail pad, just a gravel or grass space, and Floor Decor came along in the spring as well or in the summer, I don't know exactly when, and we've revised all of the documents. I think we were here maybe for an RDA just to do some demo. Commission said file an NOI for that, which we decided just file an NOI for the whole thing. So the project, as redeveloped, again, I had said that the property is about 13.5 acres. To redevelop the project, we were able to do a few nice things and pull some pavement back. It's an impervious reduction at the property. A little bit less building, but there's a little bit more pavement. We've shown all the buffer zones. We did get the comments. We got comments from Graves Engineering working with the planning board. We also got the comments from Andy working with the Conservation Commission. And we've been able to make a little bit of progress on some things related to stormwater management and what we were going to do. We had proposed, why don't we talk a little bit more about it before I get too far, we'll get to the next slide. So the property has some wetlands out by the street that are shown. I guess I used the same, Dressman used a little bit similar colors, but what's on this plan is the wetland delineation, the 30-foot no disturb policy, and the 100-foot buffer zone. So you'll see on the left side of the upper parking lot toward Route 9, we have some buffer zone work. And then down at the bottom of the page, there's a wetland that appears to, be the legacy of poor grading or poor construction. When the building was originally built, there's water ponded against the building. There's wetlands within maybe a foot of the building, maybe closer. So part of this notice of intent is to gain access to the back of the building again. We do understand that this property had an enforcement order from a few years ago that was never completed. That enforcement order was to gain a little bit larger of an access to the back, a little gravel road, to fill the wetlands that was necessary, and then to replicate it. The plan here is we really just need to build a 5-foot sidewalk around the back to gain access. We've been working with the fire department as well. And to get safe egress from the egress door so they can get back around in case of emergency, and so people can really access the building. So what's shown in the little blue color is the replication area for filling of the wetlands that will be directly adjacent to the building. And we'll, John Rockwood with Ecotech is here with me tonight, but we did also get the comment, we didn't do a detailed grading plan of that replication area. That's one of the things on our list that Andy made that comment within his review letter, and we're working on that. We haven't quite got it to John yet, but we plan on doing that to incorporate it into the final order. So if we just go to the next slide, so there's a redevelopment project, knock 2 buildings down, leave half of 1 building, and build a retail building. Site's going to get fully redeveloped. There's some significant town drainage coming through the site now. The site's going to get completely redone. It won't be all regraded, but all new drainage will connect into the existing drainage and will be ultimately in accordance with the new local stormwater management bylaws and a significant improvement. So if we can just go to the next slide. When we first filed this, we were going to try to mitigate one of the things that the local bylaw strives to get is phosphorus reduction, which we can't get in water quality devices. So we were going to propose some recharge areas. After we made the filing with the planning board and here, we got together with Graves Engineering, Jeff Walsh, and associate of mine, Garrett Horsfall. They went and did some test holes out at the site. The test holes weren't very favorable to groundwater recharge. A lot of fill and a lot of poor drained soils, high groundwater. So after that, we scratched our heads a little bit and we pulled together a meeting. David Kelly and Garrett got on a meeting with Andy, and we chose to go for a different route, which we were investigating now, which is to try to find products that can help hit the target of 50% phosphorus reduction for the redevelopment portions and 60% phosphorus reduction for the new development areas. So since that meeting, which I think was about 3 weeks ago, we've been reaching out to the various vendors to see what we can get for products that can hit those targets, and we're working through those things now. We've got some initial input, and we've reached out to some other companies. So we're still working on revising our drainage system to go from groundwater recharge to meet the phosphorus metric to proprietary devices. And we're learning a little bit about it. We haven't implemented too many of those devices at many of our sites, as the TMDLs and the stormwater management bylaws are coming from not only this town, but other towns. We're coming up to speed on some other methods. We've mostly been successful providing that 1 inch of dedicated recharge to meet that metric. In this case, being redevelopment, we had some large systems, and it didn't look like they were gonna function very well. We're taking another look at it. So we want to just come and inform the commission of where we are with everything, and ultimately, probably come back in November when we get everything sorted out. We are in the midst of the planning board and the zoning board as well. I think both of those permits were issued in the spring before we added the retail pad, but we had to refile everything. So let me just take a look at my notes and see if there's anything else that we wanted to touch base on in this update. I think I've hit all of the points that I wanted to discuss, and we wanted to, open up with the commission to see if they've looked at any of the plans or have anything that they would like to provide for comments as we work toward obtaining approvals on all fronts on this project.
Martha?
Andy, could you point out the replication area?
Sure, it's this kind of cyan color right here.
Yeah.
On them in the back. So they're basically gonna come off this wetland that comes along the back of the building.
Right.
See my cursor now.
And if you go to the next slide, it's gonna be very similar.
Oh.
This is the plan that was generated for the enforcement order. So very similar, we have a zoomed-in area. We're gonna create a plan that looks very similar to this. We'll just have a different location as opposed to filling it. They think they filled a lot more. Ours will look a little bit different and be very similar plans. So we'll provide a plan that will show some grading. Our protocol that's within the notice of intent was for plantings to be overseen by the wetland scientist and to just kind of do it on the fly. We don't have a problem putting a plan together. John will help us. We'll cite some of the plants, and then when the order comes out, he'll go out and work with the landscapers and get them all placed.
The big thing when you're constructing a wetland replication area is to get the hydrology right. And sometimes when you put elevations and grades on a plan, they build it to the plan without the adjustment of the wetland scientist. So you end up with a puddle or you end up with a dry replication area. So that's sometimes why we give a narrative protocol without a specific plan to force them to ask the question of the wetland scientist, how do we build this thing? So that's sort of the approach we've taken, but we can put together a plan that, the order has to specifically state it needs to be supervised by the wetland scientist, and the plan that's prepared needs to have the caveat in it that indicates the final grade is subject to the decision of the wetland scientist in the field with regard to the hydrology, where you set the bottom of the area. Because if you set it too low, it's going to be too wet. If you set it too high, it's going to be too dry. And sometimes it's a matter of this much.
You had said that there was going to be an overall reduction in the impervious area.
Yes.
Do you have numbers for that?
I do. They're right in the stormwater report, but I think we're going to net out at, did I not write it down? I think we net out at about, I think it's 30,000 square feet. I brought a small version of my stormwater report. It's right on there. So the total change is approximately increase in pervious area or reduction of impervious, about 11,800 square feet. So it's about 12,000 square feet, quarter acre or so, net.
And would you, or maybe you are looking at any parking lot features such as swales or plantings that would also help with runoff?
We would normally if we were all in retail, but what we're doing here in this particular project and also working with the zoning board, the Board of Selectmen for licensing, is we are also proposing to store cars in addition to the use of the repair use. So what is happening at this particular facility is Matt McGovern Auto is going to have a collision center that would normally repair cars that have been in accidents, and that requires a certain number of parking. But we've also requested licenses to store cars from the Board of Selectmen and also working through the zoning board and the planning board, because this particular facility is also going to outfit emergency vehicles, police cars, and maybe some other vehicles, that they'll get a lot of new cars in, and they'll put the bells and whistles on them and get them back to the cities and towns. And then also, he's hopeful to store some new cars as well. So the input that we've had thus far with the Board of Selectmen is the small parking lot on Oak Street to just not have any crashed cars stored up there. There would all be new vehicles by the license that are for sale at another lot, or the brand-new vehicles for fit-out for police cars. So the goal here for our client, who is McGovern Auto, is to maximize the parking and the use. And there wasn't any convenient places that we could get, a bioswale or rain garden without the significant loss of parking. We incorporated some green space in the retail area, and just a little bit down in the McGovern Auto space, but they want to use all the pavement, so we did not have a significant push for that on this application.
Thank you for considering that. That's much appreciated.
We try every time now, but it doesn't always work.
Right. I was just wondering where, we're having issues with infiltration and the soils, that those might be tools for your arsenal. And I'll also just put in a plug for trees close to the building for shade purposes, and make it nice for the employees who work there.
Okay.
All set.
Jason?
I'm all set.
Ken?
Are you going, I don't see it on this sheet, but do you show any erosion control barriers around the wetland area?
We do, I don't know if they're fully incorporated. Those would be shown on the grading plan and in our erosion control plan. So the grading plan will certainly show perimeter erosion controls on this plan, but we've also already prepared and filed a SWIP with EPA and with the town, because they're really, when we kind of pulled the plug on the green space pad and incorporated floor and decor, I think Matt has lost a little bit more time than he thought he was gonna lose. We probably should have just finished permitting that and got underway with demolishing the building. And I think the Conservation Commission wanted to thank you for signing a demolition permit that we can demolish at least outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, which I think has been authorized at this point. I'm not 100% sure. But in the interim, after we filed for this permit, we switched our gears and we prepared a full SWIP that could be registered with the EPA and implemented, because the critical path here was to really get going on taking apart the big building. So that's where we're at with that, and I do appreciate the commission allowing them to do that demolition. The area that is in the buffer zone that needs to be demolished is not in the critical path for the redevelopment of the auto center.
So will you have a detail on the walkway that you're gonna propose that goes around the building? Is that on where?
You know what, I looked at the plan myself, and we were gonna be creating a 10 or 20 scale plan that's gonna show that with
Right.
spot grades, egress doors, and all that. It's a little bit light on that. It's hard to see at 40 scale, but it's just a 5-foot path right next to the building.
Okay.
But it will be zoomed in where we have to go past the wetland flags and stuff, and we're gonna try to help the roof. One of the things is part of the roof of the existing building has some roof drains that drop right down, and there's nowhere for the water to go. And I think it's also coming down off the hill, and there's nowhere for it to go. The previous plan put a little bit of drainage in, and we're gonna enhance our plan to make sure that when we get out of here, we haven't, we're not gonna get back in the same situation
Are you
where the
gonna
water's coming in the building.
You're gonna capture that roof runoff and pipe it into some type of a basin?
Well, there's on the southerly part, there's actually kind of a intermittent stream drainage swale. But the water that's in the angle behind the building can't get to it because it was not graded out. So it's all ponded up, and then it eventually overflows to that swale, but it's also higher than finished floor when it gets to that, so. There's probably water getting in the building.
Yeah, and there's a drop inlet at the end of the swale,
Yeah.
just before the replication area. So the
gonna be very similar to
wetland
the-
is in sort of the elbow of the building, and then there's sort of just an intermittent stream that comes from the back corner of the building up to sort of where the replication area starts. And there's a drop inlet that goes into the drainage system on the site, probably
Right.
discharges to the stream. You know, there's like 7 or 8 culverts coming out at that headwater to the stream next
Right.
to the site.
So there's some, I guess I'd call it municipal drainage or regional drainage that comes through this property and discharges to some head walls and leaves the property. Ultimately, everything, I think, winds up in the Quinsigamon. So we're kind of at the intersection of 2 or 3 off-site drainages that come into this property, and they all combine right in that, similar to that area, and then, so. What we plan on doing is enhancing a 10 or 20 scale plan to give the appropriate detail, like you had requested, Mr. Plea, which would probably include a cross-section of, you know, if we have to raise the grade a little bit to hit a door threshold. I think we're gonna probably make it, you know, building code, all the landings are gonna have to be at finished floor as opposed to stepping out. So I've taken a look at the architectural plans. I think they have, and when we get toward the back, they're coming up 2 steps to get out.
Okay.
I think that's what's there now. So we appreciate that comment, and I've been looking at that. So you'll get a plan that'll look similar to the enforcement order plan,
Okay.
with a little less work than that one, because I don't think we need to push it out so much. 12, I think they were going 12 or 15 feet out. And working with the fire department, I think we just need a 5-foot walkway.
Chris?
Are both buildings going to contain auto repair?
No, the second building is gonna be a retail store for floor
Okay,
decor.
that's where I was confused. So which building, if I'm looking at the yellow or the
The
orange?
Front one.
The yellow one will be the retail building.
Okay. So presumably there would be oil, fuel, things like that stored here. Where is that going to be in the building?
Everything would be in the building, and we can get you the floor plans.
Yeah, I was just like,
And-
what part of the building would it be in, and would it be secondary containment around it?
There has to be, it's all building code,
Okay.
you know, the codes have all that captured for all of those things, and that's a good point as well. So what we can do is we can forward you the floor plans, and if you have any questions, I'll forward them to Andy, he can get them to you, and if you have any questions, you can just go right back through Andy, and he can give us a call, and we'll get the architect to, come up to speed on all that stuff. So a lot of these things are fully regulated for these uses, so this will be a state-of-the-art building at the end of the day, so we'll have all the bells and whistles for containment, oil water separators, things that we may need for that. I don't know if they're washing cars here.
They probably have to if they're doing repairs, right? Collision repair? I mean,
Yeah,
you're
but
gonna have to.
the car wash stations turn into their own animal with all the tankages and everything you need, so once they build one, they kind of drive the cars to go wash them. We built one in Norwood for Matt a few years ago, and it was an undertaking. I don't know if they're doing that here. I don't think so, because I would have seen the tanks. Those would be outside. But thank you for raising that question, and we'll follow up and get you a copy of those floor plans and revisit the site plan to make sure any features that are exterior for those uses are shown.
In terms of utilities, I take it this is town sewage, so there's no on-site subsurface disposal of sewage?
No, nope.
And town water also?
Mm-hmm.
How about snow removal with that much pavement? What's the plans for?
So that was another thing that came up in Andy's letter, and we're going to incorporate the snow management policy, and we're gonna update our operation and maintenance plan. I've been looking at some ways that maybe we can do it, and they were gonna cover parking spots or haul it out of there. it's a difficult one with these types of uses, depending on, you know, how many spaces they need. There would be a lot of space here. And what we aim to do is to show the snow storage areas on the final plan. And we'll probably work a little bit with Andy on some items as well.
And in terms of, I know you mentioned the pathway many times around the back of the building for personnel egress. Fire department's fully on board with the fact that there's really no way to get to the backside of the building. I guess they could come down Industrial Drive.
Right, that's what they said.
Is that what they
We were,
said?
we were kind of prepared to come in with a, you know, currently the fire codes, if you're gonna build anything, it has to be 20 feet now on NFPA, but a lot of times we can negotiate that down and make it not paved as well. But they put the distances on. I wasn't at that meeting, but they're like, you know what, we can get to the back that way and we can get to this side. And now we can get in the middle so that they feel that, and it'll be all fully,
Okay.
fully reconstructed with fire protection equipment inside as well.
All right. Andy?
No, actually, I just had some comments on my memo. I think we've addressed them all. I don't know if we want to close out the old order of conditions then, if you're going to do the replication as part of this, we should probably.
You know what, we'll leave that up to the commission.
That was my.
You know, you know, you might, you know, might want to wait till you're ready with the other order. So you
I mean,
have-
because the original order was done for the, you know, basically for this work.
Right.
It's never been done, so now they're going to do it as part of the new order of conditions.
Yep.
Makes sense to wrap it in.
I would
to
close,
this
yes,
one.
so I would just close the other, you know, issue a certificate of compliance saying the work was never done. Close out the old DEP number.
Right. Does the applicant have to request that?
Yeah, we can just do it, just if you want to request. Yeah,
Sure. On
request
behalf
it,
of-
say the work was never done, and we'll
There
close it
has
out.
been no work accomplished on the previous enforcement order. And since we filed a new request to do similar work, it would be appropriate for the commission to issue an order or a certificate of compliance with no work completed.
Do you need a Form 8A for the record?
Yeah,
So just
Yeah,
do
'cause I'm-
Form 8A.
Okay.
there, it should be
Work never
recorded,
started.
it should be recorded at the registry, so it'll help
Yep.
clear up your title.
So on the bottom of I think it's the existing pavement,
Mhm.
it has a pad that says tank. What tank is that for? Is that?
I don't
It's on
know.
that image that Andy has on the screen right
And
now.
I think it's an above ground,
it's not on the new.
Near the replication area?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's on the new floor plan.
yeah, I think
Okay.
it's an above ground tank of some type.
That's what I was getting at. Okay,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was asking about.
Yeah, I don't see it on the other
It's like,
plan.
I had to squeeze by it a few times to flag the wetlands and
Okay.
make the observation, so there was
I don't-
something at that corner.
So, yeah, I don't know when they did the enforcement order, they were probably continuing to use the building as is. And the building's gonna be completely renovated, so I will double check the floor plans, but I didn't see it on the floor plan. It'll be a walkway right through that.
Okay.
And one other thing regarding the proposed replication area, we're not just constructing it, we're also constructing a band of upland on the development side and on the far end of it where grading has to occur. So we're not just carving out the wetland, creating the wetland and leaving it open to the development. There's gonna be upland saplings and shrubs planted on that side and that side of the replication area. So it sort of encapsulates it with upland, as opposed to just throwing some grass seed on the slope and calling it done. There's going to be woody vegetation in that area to protect that area from the development. So that's all in the narrative as well. So that'll have to get shown in your plan when that gets drafted.
Why don't we see if anyone in the public has any questions or comments tonight? Does anyone out there have any questions or comments on this hearing? I don't see any. Any more questions from the commission tonight? Okay.
Well,
so
thank
we'll
you
just
for
need
hearing
to-
us, and I apologize for being 15 minutes late.
It's
I
all right.
left at 5 to 6, thinking I had plenty of time. And traffic is back, it's verified, been verified. Hey.
You think you're gonna be back next month on the
Yeah.
agenda? So
All
we
right, does
will,
this commission meet every 2 weeks or once a month?
once a month.
Yeah.
So we'll continue this public hearing until our next meeting, 15th,
Okay.
2022.
Perfect, and we'll hope to work with Andy on all those items and get everything up to par before then.
Beautiful.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for taking those PDFs, we saved a little bit.
Oh, no problem.
Saved ink and paper.
Andy, what would you like to do? Do you
Well,
want
I know
to,
we've got,
enforcement orders, hop down to
well, I
them?
was just thinking we've got, representatives for it's a little down, item D, under new business, the CPC application for the Trials
Okay.
Committee. So maybe we'll
Okay.
Do that.
And then we've got one resident for a new enforcement order for 29 Redlands. So if we get those out the way, then the rest we can do.
All right, so let's skip down to item D on our agenda. It's review and act on CPC application by the Trails Committee and DPW for the installation of a parking lot off Route 140 at Camp Winnigan.
Hello,
Good
I'm Melanie McGee. I'm here representing the Trails Committee. How do you want me to approach this? Do you want the whole history of the project or just what we're asking for?
Why don't you tell us how you got to this point, how you're in front of us tonight?
All right. The Trails Committee has for a long time found that Camp Winnigan has very little accessibility because there's no place to put a car. You either have to park on a side street off Grafton Street, and there's no other alternative. You really can't park on 140 with any degree of safety or comfort. And then on that side, there is a chain link fence at the moment that, though it has a hole in it, that's really not very inviting. So we had looked at the site and determined that years ago, probably about 50 years ago, the Girl Scout camp that was there must have had a parking area off of 140, and you could clearly see there's a driveway still in existence and a flattened area that looks artificially produced. It's got trees on it now and so on, but you could tell that was at the end of what we call the Old Camp Trail, which is a trail that crosses the park from east to west, going from 140 to Grafton Street. So our idea was to recreate that parking area and allow for 6 or 8 cars probably. We thought it would be a very simple project. You never know what you're going to get into when you start a simple project, but it turns out it's not quite as simple. But the place is there. It looks like it was a parking area once before, and it would really open up that park for more use by the public. I think that is an issue that has come up in the past with the town, that people want to get into the parks more. They want to have more access. And I think this would be a really nice step in that direction. Camp Winnigan has a variety of habitats. It's a lovely place. I don't know if anybody wants to go on a guided tour with me, but I'll be happy to take anybody who wants to go. So this is the first step, was to file for an eligibility application with the CPC and the Community Preservation Committee. And we did that, and the Parks Department and the Public Works Department have signed on as our co-sponsors and our helpers. So we have a plan that was put together by Public Works, and it's in your packet if you looked at what was provided. We're working out a lot of details. Now, why we are here today is because technically you own this property, and we need your permission to use it, to do this on this property. And that's why I'm here. So can I answer any other questions about it, or?
Martha, you know all about this already.
I do.
Do you have any questions?
No, I'll just, for the public, I am the Conservation Commission representative to the Community Preservation Committee. So I've been sitting in on the meetings. What Melanie is asking for permission for is our signing off on the proposal to put a parking area on that property. The other two town departments, Parks and DPW, are already on board. DPW is looking to do the work themselves, or largely themselves, in part is training for employees. So it's really a win-win situation. As Melanie said, the land has already been shaped. It looks like there must have been an historical parking area there. So there's not going to be much grading needed to make this happen. And then what she hasn't said is that this is the first part of the overall plan to improve the property. The second part would be constructing an accessible trail from the parking area to the old Girl Scout ruins. And I think there's a very clever proposed path that's been suggested and is part of the application materials that follows the grade. So it's not going to take a whole lot of disturbance to make that happen.
Yes, that should be very easy to do. I haven't scrutinized every foot of it, but following the contour lines on the map, we can do from the trailhead, which would be a corner of the proposed parking lot, slightly to the south. It will bend around and come out right at the back of the old Girl Scout ruins, and we envision that as a feature, a draw, and with some signage and some cleaning up and just some thoughtful, design there. Maybe a seating area. I have this wonderful idea that I got at a place in Cambridge where they just put some big round rocks around, and that's the seating area. And that sounds like it would be perfect for this area. No benches to be vandalized or stolen or anything like that. It sounds like it might work quite well. So that would be phase 2 of this, which would push it up to 2024, I guess. Nothing can happen in this park until 2023, of course, because this would have to go through, would have to pass a vote of the Community Preservation Committee and then next year's town meeting. So we can't do anything right away, but we need permission from this committee that we're okay to do this, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, Jason?
No questions.
Ken?
I'm all set.
Chris?
No questions.
Andy, any comments?
No, we've been out there, and we're helping to do the design. And,
Okay. So all you need us to do is to give the okay.
Yes,
Yeah, just
we need a letter.
Yeah, just take a vote on it, and then
Let's take-
I've got a letter drafted for you to sign, to send back to the
All right,
Committee.
would someone like to make a motion that we allow the installation of a trailhead parking area off of Memorial Drive?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate this. I know you're going to love it.
Okay,
And
thank you.
believe me, would be delighted to take you out and show you around. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it's really a nice park. Thank you.
You're welcome. Andy, what was the next one you wanted to do?
It's going to be 29 Redland, because that's another enforcement issue that we
All
was
right,
last week.
so we're,
the
okay,
homeowners.
we're gonna jump into enforcement orders right now, and the first one we're gonna talk about is 29 Redland Avenue.
It's Redden Street.
Yes, sorry, did I put? Oh, sorry, Redland Street, sorry. Yeah, all right.
So I just wanted to come in front of the committee because I'm new to Shrewsbury. I just moved in July. I've been in this place since July 13. The old owner hadn't done any work on the yard, so it was just wild grass on it. So I wanted to put in a new lawn. And since I'm new to home ownership, I wasn't even aware about coming in front of this commission and presenting and getting getting the permit. So I had actually reached out to 4 or 5 different contractors to get quotes. There was one tree that we wanted to take down. It's in the front of the property. It's a sumac. And it was taking over what was 3 evergreens in front of it. And it was coming into the property. So we wanted to take that out. And like I said, we reached out to contractors. They all came in. None of them actually told me about it. There is a retaining wall right by the property, and then the wetland area runs across the property, around the property. I have some pictures I have one picture from the time that I moved in. So we actually started the work. What we had done was we took out that tree in the front, and we had taken out just the lawn in the front, and the back was moss. So we had taken it out and flattened it, and I think that was about the time when Andy came in. It was day 2 in the afternoon that Andy came in and told us about, that we had to get the permits and all the stuff that followed. I actually didn't get the order until this morning, but because Andy had reached out, I had called, came into the office on the Tuesday after the long weekend, met with Todd. He basically said he'll write up the order and that this is the process I need to follow. I called him back on Thursday because I didn't receive the order, so he sent me a PDF and told me the first thing I need to do is do erosion control. So I called the contractor. I did that on Saturday. I put a 300 feet silt fence around the property just in front of the wetland. And Todd came in yesterday to take pictures and say that, okay, so I've done that part. So he had also suggested that I come in front of the commission, talk about what it is that I was trying to do, and then basically take it from there.
Yeah, so we got a call, so this is, I was trying to pull it up, so this is the main stream that goes under Redland, it loops around the back, so he, obviously, when I got out there, the whole front yard was ripped up and most of the backyard was ripped up, so we just told the contractor to stop. He put up some erosion control and obviously spoke to the homeowner and gave him some guidance, reaching out to a wetland scientist to just at least delineate the wetlands and then go from there. So, I mean, it's all got erosion control out there, so it's stabilized, but.
So, from this point forward, are they doing more work out there?
No, they stopped. They
I mean, is the intent to do once?
I would assume you want to, yes, half, the front yard's all dug up, so I would assume we want to get it finished.
Yeah.
So are we looking to go to notice of intent for the remainder of the work, or where are we going from here?
Well, I mean, the problem is we're getting late in the season, so if we don't get something done and don't get it established, it's going to be like this all winter. So it's kind of a catch-22, because obviously I would imagine trying to get a consultant.
So you're saying if the erosion control's in, we've stabilized that?
The site is stabilized, but it's going to be bare earth till, we can get it mowed and seeded.
So you're recommending we complete the work through the enforcement order
And then maybe,
process?
follow up with an after the fact.
NOI
maybe might be the way to do it.
to formalize it.
Yeah. Because
All right.
I was thinking after we issue it, because I'm like, we're late in the season to get grass to grow.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And the other, just to add to Andy's point, at the time of doing this work, I actually had loom brought in, so that's sitting in the front yard.
Yep.
And because it started to rain bad last week, I went in and bought tarp in. I put the tarp on top, but it's been windy too. Because one part of it is I don't want it to
Right.
flow, but also I got all this loom down. I don't want it to go away either. I just wanted to, I've not done any work. I've not encroached or added anything. I'm only doing where you see the lawn in the front and you see that brown area in the back. Whatever was there is the only area I'm trying to do. What I would like to do is to just fill in the loom and finish it off, because it's already flattened, but it's earth, and from the past few days of rain, I can't walk there, so we're using the garage to come in and go out of the building, go out of the house. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is the commission on board for allowing him to complete it this fall and follow up with a notice of intent for the work that was done?
I'm in favor of them finishing it and get it stabilized for the winter.
Yeah, that'd be
Maybe
great.
something
Yeah.
might start to grow, but at least you could get it hydro-seeded and stabilized.
Okay.
Well, may I ask, what does the stream bank look like? Is it lawn up to the stream, or are there shrubs and other plants growing?
Yeah, so, I have a few pictures if you'd like. I can just show you.
Yeah.
I just,
Bring them right up here if you want.
Yeah, I mean, the lawn, you can see the lawn, this is the wall he was talking about, so really downstream of it's really
yeah.
pretty undisturbed. Other, there was a few trees that have been cut down.
So this is the retaining
red
wall,
line, the
and
wetland.
whatever you see.
That's probably the bound, it's probably the property line.
Property line,
This is
okay.
just our, near my house, trying to line up with the GIS, but it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the stream comes in, it wraps around,
Yeah.
I'm pointing my finger, it wraps
Oh,
around
yeah.
the back, so this is all.
Yeah.
That is the front.
Yeah.
So he
And I don't
really,
have picture
you know,
of the
this was
back,
ripped
this
up,
was the
and I
back
think
before, and
most
so
of this was
basically
ripped
just
up.
flattened it
Okay.
out,
Yeah,
and it's
When I
just
got
staying
out
there
there.
with the loom that you're seeing.
this is the erosion, the silt fence is up.
Yeah, I took these pictures yesterday after the silt fence is.
Yeah. No hay bale on it. It looks like it's just single silt fence, huh? Should we?
Well, I did tell him to get some wattles, but I know people are struggling sometimes to get them, so.
Yeah, he's got just a single
Single silt
layer of
fence.
silt fence. Maybe we should just back it up with some
Some wattles, yeah.
old wattles behind it. And then complete the work. And then you'll have to file a notice of intent, just as if you were going to, to formalize what you did. Okay? And that way it goes on the record.
Okay.
So next homeowner, he understands too, he can see the history of this site.
Okay.
And that, you know, he has to be careful when he does work. That he has,
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, Panamericbrook,
Do
yeah.
I still work with the surveyor, or do I just file the paperwork?
I would do it concurrently. I'd still try and get a wetland scientist and the surveyor to,
Yeah, so
did all that.
just to sort of, again, I was trying to expedite, so.
Yes.
Even met, spoke to Ecotech, and I got in touch with Jarvis.
okay, so, yeah.
Yeah, but they're all tied up, and I was.
Exactly,
trying to get everything, paperwork done by November possibly, because once the frost sets in, I can't.
That's, you done, yeah.
So it's been challenging, but now that you're saying you're asking me to do the notice of intent after the fact, I was curious if I
Yeah.
still need to go with both. or-
Yeah, you still need to go through the process. We'll just let you do the work ahead of time, so.
okay,
You're welcome.
thank you.
All right,
All right,
Oh,
you ready for some motions?
yeah.
okay.
What,
You ready?
yep.
I'd like to make a motion, we issue an order of condition at 8 Claremont Circle, subject to the inspection by Andy, making sure everything is, the wall is big enough.
Yeah, actually, that's, I think it's 4 Claremont.
Full Clement, yeah.
Well, it's
Oh, did I cross out the wrong one?
It's,
Sorry.
it's-
That was,
it's
it was
there,
last time. Sorry, my apologies.
4, I'm sorry.
No.
Yep. Okay, so you've made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion, we issue an order of conditions at 553 Grafton Street with the provision that they sweep the street and make a construction entrance.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we've already voted on our RDAs.
Yeah, I just need that.
Or at least they do.
2 signatures.
Yeah, wait a minute. One of them isn't.
One was a positive, one was a negative, yeah.
We voted on both.
Yep.
Do enforcement?
Yeah.
I have a couple of updates. So 10 Glengarry, I don't know if you talked about it last month, but Ecotech had submitted a, basically a restoration. So they're going to pull the shed out to the 50-foot, which is then exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act. So they're going to pull the shed out and replicate that wetland area. So that was,
They are gonna do that?
yeah, they're going to move the shed.
Okay.
So that was the report. So, yeah. So that one can come off the list.
Whatever was in there, I went back.
Yeah, back, okay. Yeah, I don't have it here.
Did you
Must
put
have
it in
gone
there?
back. No, it must have gone back.
The
No, the
letter.
Trails Committee one.
Pull the letter?
Did you get that back? I don't think you.
Oh, I've got a spare one.
No, I signed it.
I know you signed it. Yeah, I saw you did. Oh, no.
Should be over there. Hopefully it's on that end. Oh, it's under my
Oh,
agenda.
it's right here. There you go.
Yeah, so, so 10 Glengarry we can take off. 56 Oregon Ave, I'm still having trouble getting hold of the owners. 284 South Quincy, I did stop by today when I was doing my site visits, talk to the homeowner. They are still, they've got a couple of wetland scientists. They had some trouble, like everyone else, trying to get someone out there to take a look at it. So they are still working on it. And obviously 29 Redland we just did. So that's all we've got for now.
That 56 Oregon Ave, was that the one where the address was wrong or something? Was that?
No, well, they never picked it up. It came back unpicked up. We sent it a certified mail, so I've
Yeah.
got to try and figure out, if there's
Why?
another address. I mean, the only issue is there's an existing order. It's just the silt fence is all washed out, blown out, and it's kind of just washed out. The site's been undeveloped for a while now, so I'm just trying to get someone in there to fix the silt
Yeah.
fence.
Okay. That does it for enforcement orders.
Yep,
So
that's all I
let's
got for
hop
this.
down to item E, review and comment, comprehensive permit filing, 409 South Street. What's that about?
So that was a, let me pull up. So that's a 40B that's being submitted to the town. I mean, it's, where are we? I mean, they're not doing any work under our jurisdiction, but the plan, well, the ZBA was just looking for comments if there were any. Let's put the site plan. This is at the corner of South Street and Route 20. So just down the street from Centec, from Adams Farm. It's a fairly large development, but
How big is this one, Andy? Do you have?
it's like 196 units, something like that. It's 5 stories. It's 2 stories with, well, it's not 2 stories, it's 5 stories. It's a fairly big, but it's a 40B, so it's going under the 40B. There are wetlands. I'll go back to the existing conditions. Yeah, there are some big wetlands in the very back corner up here. But, their work is all down here, so there's nothing jurisdictional, so probably no comments, but they just want me to present it to you
Okay.
if you had anything.
All right. How about, the next one is review and comment, E&F filing, Interstate Crossing Industrial Park.
Yeah, this is the old Worcester Sand and Gravel site. Other site plans. Like the site plans are at the end. Nope, don't have the site plans. Nope, all right, let me figure out what I gotta do with them. Yeah, but I thought I copied over, there should be just a pretty rendering, and I was trying to find it. I know I downloaded it. I thought maybe it was at the end of the ENF. Let me see, maybe I just never downloaded it, uploaded it. Is there, say, there, I know it's in them somewhere. Right, why are they not showing up? They're showing up in yours, because I can't get them on mine for some reason.
I've got 4 documents in the drive folder.
Yeah, I've got DCP.
Maps.
All right, well. It was in there this morning. Well, I apologize, I don't know what happened to them. They were in there this morning.
Andy, does the town have to make?
Yeah, we've
comments
already,
on
yeah,
this?
we've already commented on it. I
Yeah.
just wanted, it was just as an FYI,
Yeah.
so.
Because the state, I mean, they make this
And they've got to do
application
it.
the state.
Yeah, and then they're gonna have to do an EIR, because they trigger the threshold, so
Yeah,
this is
then
only the first
state
step.
usually makes review comments on it and.
Yeah, so this is just the ENF. I mean, the closing was last week, so we missed it, but I said I would still present it.
Yeah.
Um,
So what's the impact here? This is another big project,
It's
right?
yeah, it's one of the buildings is 1 million square feet, and then the other one's like 800 square feet, the other parcel, so I'll let you guess what's going in there.
Isn't that in one of the drinking water protective zones?
It's very close, but actually one of the sites, the site on Holden Street, is actually it's one of the has a moth, an endangered species. One of the moths is on there, so that one's,
Okay.
I will find it, it kills me.
26,000 square feet, 1.5 million square feet, 1.5 million.
How big, Chris?
27,000 square feet, 1.5 million square feet, 1.5 million square feet.
Oh. Okay,
So,
well, that's all right.
yeah, I'm sorry, well, I just want to show you just
Fine.
pictures
Yeah.
on there, so.
And that brings us to the last item on the agenda, and again, maybe we should hold off till another time to discuss updating the 2002 policy requirements?
Okay.
Okay,
And I'll say I'll start working on if we want to try and get a bylaw on for next year, I'll pull the Paxton one and put it on for
Okay.
next one, and we'll do them concurrently maybe next month.
does everybody agree, or
Yeah.
would you, yeah, Martha's
We should look
at town meetings, so she's.
What about-
I think it would help us a lot with,
Huh?
superseding orders, but right now we have no teeth.
We do those?
Oh, yeah, certificates of compliance.
Yeah, so, all right, yeah. Like I said, I went out today and did them, so.
Yep.
So 6 Victoria Circle, we got the as-built after the last meeting, so we could issue that one. Remember the place that was outside, so. 46 Sewell was a septic repair, I went up there today, looked at it, that one's fine, I would recommend issuing that one.
Okay.
5153 Bayview was a duplex. Again, I went out there today, it looks fine, I would
That one's
recommend
good, too.
recommend issuing that one. 935 Main Street, which is the old Wyman Farms, is not ready. We did a punch list as part of the planning board as-built, and a couple of the basins are still holding water, so I wouldn't recommend
Okay,
issuing that one. 440 Hartford Turnpike, which is the second phase of one of the two portions of the 40B that Fran was doing. That's the one that GFI has actually bought. So this is the old order of conditions, so they're just closing it out because there was no work done. We actually issued an order of conditions beginning of the summer.
Okay.
That's the one with the warehouse. So I would recommend issuing that one. 52 and 54 Cherry Street, I went out, I mean, they're fairly in compliance with the plan, but there's a lot of walls and fences that were not on the approved plan that are out there now. I don't know if it's a
Okay.
big deal, but I mean, they're all in the
So we're
buffer.
gonna hold on those two?
Yeah, I don't know if you want them to come back and amend it or not, but there's some deviations from the plan that was,
And those have been sort of a sore point in a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why don't we do that? Let's.
okay, I'll have them just update the NOI then. 16 Hickory Drive was fine. I went out and took a look at that one. That was, and 88 Old Faith Road, I went out and took a look at that one, and that one's fine too. So just the 5.
So we got a lot of signing to do here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, yeah, 'cause there's duplexes there, that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. Good sharp eye.
I mean, a lot of these got carried over from last month.
Somebody would be mad.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna find that ENF one. Now.
Give this back. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion,
She's still working.
we adjourn.
Martha, are you
Three,
done?
four, Only 5?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I thought we had
That was
Jen's
it.
made the motion to adjourn. Who wants to second it?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
We got